Pulling the anchor. Hopefully it's not stuck too bad. Did make some weird bumps last night, so I'm hoping that when I put it down, I couldn't tell if it was rocks or logs. It was bumping over something. It didn't catch right away. I'm inclined to think in this part of the woods it's probably trees. So I did put down a trip buoy, you can see out there in front of the boat, but with some fortune here, it'll come up right away. So we'll see what we got here. Looks like it will come up. It's even clean. I can't believe, well, a little mud, but for the most part it's clean. Anchor secured. Now we just need to pull a trip line in, and I'll keep that out, I think, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be tying up at the next spot. Oh yeah, I need my remote for the autopilot, because I think I'll try to use it. Well, maybe not going out, because it'll be too much steering, so we won't do it going out. And we got a kayak behind us. It's supposed to rain this afternoon. Going a little faster than I wanted here, so we'll just piddle along. Still got a chill to the air. I'm not sure what the temperature is, but it's a little chilly, a little windy. I was going to do the autopilot calibration this morning, but I think it's just a little too breezy. Probably a calm evening would work better. 6.9, 6.3 it was, so it's, I can see with the water down a little bit, it might be, could get shallow up in here enough that you couldn't get in here, at least in places, because there's quite a bit of flooding yet. Not much, but you can see from the pictures I took last night that Canada goose must be a nest around here. They're trying to get me, draw me away. So far 7.3, 7.6. It's been pretty consistent along and through that channel. An old oxbow that's no longer connected to the upper river. Well, let's see if we can get the autopilot to work here. Well, first thing you got to do is plug it in or it won't work. There we go. We're connected. We'll let the boat pull us around there, and we'll see how the autopilot part of the auto function works after we get straightened out a little bit here. All right, it's on auto, so we'll see how that works. That Canada goose is still anxious about me. Need to find a lanyard to put my remote on so I don't lose it over the side at some point. I also found out that my audio or sound isn't firm enough in the fitting here. I'm going to have to come up with something for that too. So it's always something to mess with. Little wind, quite a bit of wind, but that'll help me against the current. So coming up on the main channel here. Kind of an interesting new concept here with the view of the boat like we've got. I'm hoping my Osmo is recording right now, I'm not sure. 7.3 feet, 6.6, we're still okay. But we need to get out a little bit more into the channel. Now we'll come around here. Well, the current can't be too bad because I'm doing 4.6 miles an hour and I'm only at 2,000 RPM. Yeah, got shallow there, better move to the left. 6.4 feet. Yeah, now it's getting a little deeper, 7.4, 6.6. So I got to be careful here. I ran aground the first trip I made out here to come test the boat. First sea trial with the boat, and I ran aground. The river's interesting places, because especially this time of year with all the flooding, you don't know what you've got a lot of times. But we'll see how good it tracks. I've got it in the auto mode and we're playing with it as is. Not going to go too far. I think it's about 4 miles or something. And I'm not sure if my batteries will hold out for the 2 cameras, but we'll see. Pretty good perspective with that camera out to the side. Seems to be doing really well. Autopilot's holding. Heavy clouds overhead. I'm hoping the solar is picking up a few rays. And I'm not going that far, and I'm hoping the rain holds off until I get anchored or tied up. There is a campground. I can't remember if there's a campground up here or not. Maybe not on the place I'm planning to go, but you know, there's an eagle. Oh no, that's just a blue heron. Blue heron. Pretty common bird in this part of the world. Now let me look at that map real quick, see what we got. There's a campground, so we'll take a look and see when we get up there. Autopilot's working like a charm. I'm very pleased with that. Not going very fast, as I said before, just because there's not a long distance and no sense burning up a lot of extra gas if I don't need to. And there's plenty of sights to see. On our left here is quite a few houses, so it's not exactly wilderness here, but get back in some of those oxbow lakes, it can be. So, the place I'm going to is probably a more common canoeist site, so we'll see if there's any paddlers there. It is early season, so maybe not as many people as you'd think. Yeah, let me see if I can find a little line that hold this. Everything's pretty long, but we got something here we can use. So, yeah, getting off course a little bit here, so move over to the side. Yeah, this is pretty long. Yeah, I need to cut it to use this. It's too long, so I'll hold off on that idea for now. Thought I had a little short piece that would work, but it does a little bit too long. Well, so far no boating traffic. I haven't seen anybody since I got up this morning, and even along the river here I'm not even seeing anybody on shore. Everybody's probably at work, but I'm pleased with the autopilot. I don't have to have my hands on the cold wheel, and it seems to be tracking just fine. Very minor movements of the wheel to hold the course. So still haven't done the calibration, which could help even further, but well, we've gone 2 miles, doing 4.3 miles an hour at 2,000 RPM. We're depth is 9 feet right now, but been bouncing around more around 8. There's a little delay in the steering. I'm only making 1 degree increment changes to the course, and of course 1 degree is not very much, so sometimes to stay in the channel here I'm having to make several 1 degree increments, like up to 5 to 7 to stay in the channel. If I was out in an open lake I wouldn't have to be using it that much. So, but it's 10 feet deep here. Not sure, but I think the corner coming up here about a half a mile ahead is probably going to be our turn, I'm thinking. Let's see, today is Thursday, so I've got some time up here before I have to come back for our picnic evening with my daughter, son-in-law, and my grandson. I'm going to do that on Saturday. Very pleasant morning. Even though it's cloudy, it's very pleasant. Temperature, I'm wearing a little fleece vest, not too heavy, and it's just enough to stay warm. And it's a following breeze, so it's not as cold as it could be if it was on my nose. 15.6 is the depth, 15.6. So there's spots here, but now it comes up to 11, 12 feet, so it's up and down quite a bit. Fortunately, it's early in the season. I suppose the threat of rain today probably kept the fishermen from coming out as much, but it's also midweek, work week, and people aren't out as much as they are on the weekend. Really nice having the autopilot. Takes a lot of the work out of it. Here's a little oxbow that I could probably get into, I don't know, but looks like a shallow entry, but I might be able to squeak through. So that would be a nice private place to come back to at some point. Well, I wonder if the campground will be usable. That'll be interesting. If it is, it'll be the first tie-up that I've done down here. The first trial I did the year I bought the boat, tried to tie up to shore, and the current was so strong that it was kind of unsuccessful, and I didn't have the equipment really to do in that particular spot. I don't remember if there was any trees or not, but I have the augers now that I can use in soft soil if I don't have trees, so that helps. But getting closer. There's another oxbow coming up on our right, so you guys should see that on the camera there, looking over the bow. Well, it's starting to rain. I was hoping it would hold off a little bit here until I got up here, but maybe not. 5.7 feet. All right, I think I'll stop with the autopilot. Well, we've gone 3.5 miles. Expecting that campground around here someplace. There's a higher bank there on the left, so that could be it. Well, we got decent depth yet. The rain stopped, so I'm hoping it'll hold off until I get parked. Kind of wondering whether I need to anchor or search for this campground. Now, there's some higher ground on the left, so this would be the place I would expect a campground to be, but so far I haven't seen anything. No signs. 9 feet. Should be coming up soon. I'm kind of tempted to try a campground tie-up if I can, just for the hang of it. Well, here's a cabin on the side of the water. So you think you're private, but you're not. I would think they wouldn't have put a campground near that cabin. So, Canada goose taken off. It looks like a lake cabin kind of a setup, not a permanent home. 5.8 feet. It's not very deep here, so maybe get over a little bit further. Not seeing any signs of the campground, but this, I wouldn't expect it here anyway. It's got to be soon though. Pretty shallow. 4.9 feet. So far I haven't seen any campground. Bank is a little steep to tie to, so we'll see. 4.7 feet. Nothing, no campsite that I can see. And I'm going to have to get tied up here pretty soon because it's going to start raining. Well, there's a little cove off the side I might pull into when I get up here. It's starting to rain again. There it is. There's the campground right there. Okay, let's give it a shot. Quite a bit of current. Yeah, I need to pull that camera in before I try this, or I'm going to end up alongside the, I don't know, it's a steep bank. Now let me pull in the cameras. Good evening, folks. Just thought I'd touch base with you guys. Enjoying the quiet of the evening. It's been raining pretty much all day, kind of heavy at a few times. Just finished a tenderloin steak dinner with potatoes, salad and roll, and some red wine. And I've been seeing a little bit of wildlife around the area today. I saw one deer, tried to get a picture of it, but it hustled away before I could do that. And I found turtle heaven. Found a pond back here that's got turtles everywhere. I see at least 10 big, very big turtles, and there's probably at least 10 more at least in there. They come and go and off the logs. They sit out there in the sun for a while, and then they go back in the water. So there's a bunch of them in there, but it's the largest collection I've ever seen in one spot with the big sizes too. They're not small. So that was kind of interesting. It's been cloudy, rainy all day, so I really haven't had much sun, but I was able to get a few pictures and things through the day to keep myself busy. Listen to an audiobook, one of the books that I've been listening to for some time. Kept myself, tried to get a nap, but wasn't able to get to sleep because I was in the middle of trying to get to sleep, and all of a sudden dawned on me that I forgot the brat buns at home for the gathering with my family on Saturday. My daughter and husband and my grandson will be here, and I'm going to take them out on the river for a couple of hours and have a dinner together, a cookout on the boat. And all of a sudden it dawned on me that I left the brat buns in the freezer. And then I went back to check my checklist, and sure enough, it's missing from the checklist, so that's why it got left at home. It's really important to have everything on your checklist that you need to take. That was one of the things that got forgotten. Fortunately, I'm within cell coverage, and they will be able to bring the buns on Saturday, so we'll be okay. Anyway, tomorrow I should back up. Today I moved just about 4 miles. Yesterday I just moved a short distance to get away from the dock. Well, there was no dock, but the launch area. And found a really nice anchorage, although there was a little bit of traffic there, one fishing boat and one couple that hiked down to the river, which was kind of interesting because it's kind of a remote area, so there must be some kind of a trail there. Anyway, overall it was fairly quiet. It was a very pleasant evening. I saw mink several times, 3 or 4 times. I got one picture, but not probably very good, and I couldn't get them up on, and that was in the water. I couldn't get them on land. They just disappeared too fast. I couldn't get a picture of them. And then today I saw deer, like I said, and those turtles. Just heard some sandhill cranes flying again to the north. I did not see them, but I could hear them, and they are very distinctive calls, so I knew they were sandhill cranes. Well, that's Canadian geese there. I thought maybe that was the sandhills again, but no, it's Canadian geese. And so there's a few critters around. Very quiet here on the river. I'm very pleased because I didn't see one single boat today. Nobody on the water. I saw one person as I went by a series of cabins there on the beach, right on the shore. There's quite a few homes along one side of the river there, one stretch for maybe a mile or so. And there I saw one person walking, by their house, but that was about it. That's the only person I saw all day. And that's the way I like it. So it's been really pleasant. Like I said, tried to nap, couldn't get really any sleep. But I was able to rest and listen to music, listen to audiobooks, and kept busy. I went up several times to try to get pictures of things and managed to get my feet pretty muddy because everything is wet. This was all flooded just weeks ago, and it's not dried out yet. There's mud everywhere. And I thought about maybe having a fire or a fire ring tonight, but neither one appeals to me because it's so wet up there on the shore. It's just not conducive to that. And so I think what I'm going to do is do a tabletop fire tonight. I'm just waiting for it to get a little later here and the wind to come down a bit. It's been a little breezy this evening, although it's calming down now. So it'll be a good time to have a tabletop fire. But overall, it's been very enjoyable. Today I was able to use the autopilot, and it's wonderful. It worked great. No complaints at all there. So I think the design and the function of it is successful. I'm really pleased. I think when I get up on the big lake this summer on Lake Nipigon, this is really going to help because I can leave the helm, and if I need things like gloves to keep my hands warm or something to drink or eat, I can do that. Don't have to be worried about on long stretches of maybe 9 or 10 miles between islands to not be able to leave the helm because the boat will wander real quick. that's going to be a real blessing. And then also I can go, since I have remote control, I can be up on the bow and actually control the boat. So if you're going into a shallow area, I'm able to actually, I'm not sure how much that's going to help me, because if you saw shallows coming up, I don't know if I could get back to the helm quick enough to stop the motor, but it's better than not being able to see at all. So we'll see. Nipigon, one of the negatives of that lake, or positives, it depends on how you look at it, is there are no depth soundings on that lake. That also means fewer people. Whenever you don't have depth soundings, it's less safe, and so a lot of people won't go. That's a challenge, and I'll have to be careful of depths and reefs. That's rocky country, so you don't have mud shallows that you run up on, it's rocks you run up on, so you got to be really careful. And although it's an aluminum hull, you can still do damage, and so I've got to be really careful of that. This particular trip on the St. Croix is a test. I installed a new VHF. I wanted to test that out to make sure it's working, although there's so little traffic, I'm not hearing anything on the radio. I think I heard one VHF call yesterday. I think to the bridge probably down at Stillwater, just by chance I happened to pick it up. And then I heard, I was able to pick up weather by lowering the squelch a little bit. It seems to be functioning, but I'd like to have better range than I'm getting. It seems to be working as it should. The autopilot is working as it should. I put in new blinds to replace the curtains I had, because anytime I had the doors open, wind would go through the cabin, and that would blow the curtains all over the place, and they were cheap curtains. It just wasn't working. So I decided to put in blinds this year that I can raise and lower from either the top or the bottom, and they just work wonderfully. I haven't used them that much yet, but yesterday I was able to use that to block the sun at the end of the day when it was coming through the window while I was eating. So that was a real plus. So far, everything that is newer on the boat, I put in a new mount for the camera. I've got a boom right here. This is a boom, and it'll go out at a 45-degree angle, or I can do it vertically up 8 feet so that I can get film of down on the bow of the boat or from the side of the boat to get some different perspectives, video. So today was the first test of it. It seemed to be working fine. I'll move up the river tomorrow, maybe another 4 to 5 miles or so, something like that, and looking for off the main drag. This particular place I'm at right now is an oxbow off the main river, so it's not on the main river, although there is current here, so there is flow from the river through here, but it's not the main channel. And the same thing where I'm going to go tomorrow, I'm going to try to get off the main channel. And, although there doesn't seem to be much traffic, which is a good thing. So I'm out just for these 5 days, so it's not a long trip, but so far so good. And it's good to get out, because you find out those things you forget and that you need to remember to add to your checklist in the future. A few things that I think I need to tweak before I go on the main trip. So, and that's the purpose of this St. Croix River trip, is to see if there's anything else that I'm lacking that I need to do before I go in midsummer to Lake Nipigon. Hello folks, sitting here by my tabletop fire. It was not functioning very well earlier because the wind was pretty much blowing it over. It's still blowing it over a little bit, but starting to function now okay. So enjoying the evening, the quiet and the sound of the birds, and listening to some music as well. So it's very relaxing, very enjoyable evening. So it's what you come out here to enjoy and do. Just the natural setting, the birds, the wildlife. I saw a bald eagle come by earlier. I got a picture of it, but probably too distant. It wasn't very good. And he didn't land. Saw me and kind of decided he didn't want to hang around. But there's been a few critters around, and that's a good thing. It's always fun to see some wildlife when you're out here on the river. It's a little cool. That's why I got my down vest on. I had the fleece on, but that wasn't warm enough. I'm not sure what the current temperature is, but I'm guessing down around 60. With the sun down, it's cool. You can see the calm of the evening. a kayak there setting in the current. There's about a half a knot. Beautiful countryside with the big pines there and the rising up above the deciduous forest. I'm guessing those trees are close to 100 years old. Probably the previous big pines were logged back in the late 1800s. So those would be at least 100 years old. Anyway, there's some more of the river where I'm at right now. So, very enjoyable, peaceful evening. So I'll pan back to where I'm at and by the fire here. So you get to see what I'm seeing, not just the fire, but the fact that I'm able to see some very beautiful scenery. I've been watching for critters, deer and other things, but so far nothing. It's been pretty quiet. So I'm going to let this fire burn down and I'll probably go to bed. It's getting late and time to hit the sack. I'll probably either listen to an audiobook or an ebook, read an ebook, one of the two before I hit the sack. So sat nearby the fire, enjoying the tabletop fire. The wind finally went down, so it's really burning nicely. Very enjoyable. Very quiet by the fire. Mosquitoes are starting to come out, so I'll probably need to go in pretty quick.